Welcome to Working Progress. This is the podcast where we dive into strategies for success and journey towards progress. In today's episode, EQ and the bottom line, we're diving into a topic that is often talked about but barely tied to direct results: emotional intelligence. Joining us today is Marili Desrochers, our master distributor in Canada and a seasoned leader in the world of talent development. Marili brings deep insight into how EQ influences leadership, culture, and business performance, and how organizations can begin making it a real priority. Questions like, what exactly is an EQ in the workplace? How do you develop it? And more importantly, how does it translate into measurable business impact? Let's find out. So, Marili, thank you so much for being here with us today.
It's a pleasure.
So why don't you start us off by telling us a little bit about your background and the work that you do today?
Yeah. My background, I'm recently a master distributor, but just before, I've been using TTI's assessment for now 10 years. And I think we've made a lot with it.
Yes.
I can't wait to talk with you about the EQ assessment. And just before, I was a manager. So I've been a manager for several teams, several types of teams in different sector, and for 15 years. And just before, I've studied in communication, HR, and business.
All good when
you put everything together and
EQ.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us, how do you define emotional intelligence, especially in the workplace?
Oh my God. It's such a good question. Emotional intelligence is really a way and a capacity to read yourself and read others. And after you put it all together. Yes. A lot of people are asking me, why is it so important? Mm-hmm. And I always say, have you heard? Intelligence? Isn't it enough? And there we have their attention, and we can go on and explain why it is so important.
Yep. So why do you think it's often overlooked in conversations, especially when it comes to performance and profitability in the workplace?
Yeah. I think emotional intelligence, a lot of people are afraid to understand what it is, to read about it, to go along a process to develop it.
Yes.
And I think, and it's not that I think, I always hear that, oh my God, it's such esoteric. Oh my God, what it is. What is the point to talk about it in the workplace? We have to talk about objective results, action plan. We have to talk about real management. So I think it's everything, like, really people are afraid, they don't understand, they don't have time. So a lot of people will say, I don't have time for that. I think it might explain why it's sometimes hard to just introduce the subject. But as I said, it's so important. We'll talk about it.
Yes. So where have you seen EQ have the biggest financial or cultural impacts in leadership or team dynamics?
Yeah. I will be really I will give you an answer that is referencing to my profile. Low EQ is dangerous.
Okay.
Low EQ is really dangerous in a lot of workplace because in EQ, we will talk about it, we have conscience.
Yep.
So would you do something without being conscious?
True.
So if you do so, I think some things might be just appearing to yourself. So EQ is being conscious of yourself and others. And I always say that HR is not human resources, but human relationship.
Oh, I
so
like that.
This is really another angle for management and for workplace.
Okay.
So sometimes we have HR department, and we used to say that they're talking about the resources.
Yes.
But we are most of the time talking about human relationship.
Interesting.
So that's why EQ is so important. So if you're not seeing it in that way,
Okay.
you have financial impact. People with low EQ, when I say they're dangerous, I don't mean they're intentional,
Okay.
but they're just not knowing what is happening for themselves or others. So would you go and drive while you don't see the road?
No.
It's really hard.
Yes.
So that's why I think if you don't have, you can see impact on turnover and not at having your objective or other things like that.
So you mentioned HR and human
Yeah.
resources, or as you said, human relationship. So is that really where you see a lot of the EQ conversation come up then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is an example of low EQ, and how does that really impact a culture or a business if there's somebody that does have, say, that lower EQ?
Low EQ, we can observe diverse behaviors with people with low EQ. Let's say I will just spread my stress on my colleague in the morning when I arrive at the office, or just telling you if I have an issue with you, but I will tell another people about yourself. And so a lot of behaviors that are sometimes not that too much, but when you had them all, that's where you have an impact on the culture. And low EQ, rather than talking about specific behaviors, the most impact is really that you can't be confident with people with low EQ. So in a workplace, when we're talking about measurable results and objective and culture, I think the foundation is really confidence. Confidence in relationship. I'm confident about myself, about yourself, and then we can work together. So that's really where we have to develop EQ. So people on the other side, people with high EQ. I always ask my coach and people, my client, think about a person with really a good leadership for yourself. Think about someone. How do you feel with this person? How do you feel in the presence of this leader? A lot of people will say, oh my God, I feel really good. I feel good about myself. She's feeling me or he's feeling me. Let me feel good about other people. I'm confident about the work I have to do. I can trust this person. So really high EQ really is, like I always say, the foundation if you want to go and get the results you want.
So confidence and trust, those are two things that you genuinely see when it comes to those with higher EQ. So what advice do you give leaders that are more focused on results than relationships?
I love your question. Oh my God, because I'm one of them. I love results. With my 100 ID. I really, results are important. So I would say to other people who loves results, oh my God, you have to look at what can give you EQ to get the results, because I can assure that you don't have right now the result you should have if people around you and yourself would have high EQ. So it's really, we have a lot of examples on the workplace, how it really will demotivate, and how people will become suspicious about others, about who you are. If you don't know yourself and I don't know myself, maybe we won't understand each other. So let's say we're working on an action plan, and we are saying, okay, Shona, you'll do this part, I'll do this part, and we'll meet in a week. I can assure you that if we don't have high EQ, both of us, we didn't understand everything that you told me, that I told you, and we are losing time, we are losing energy, we are losing money.
Okay.
So these are quick examples on how you can really go on the results you want with high EQ.
Okay. So it's again trusting that other person too. So it's really understanding yourself. And then, as you said, if you don't communicate well with somebody, then you kind of lose it.
Yeah.
Okay. So is EQ something you believe can truly be taught, or does it just come down to, oh, that's just their personality?
A lot of clients are telling me, Marili, that's who I am. I don't want to change.
Yep.
Oh my God, I will never want someone to change.
Okay.
When we're talking about the disc and we're talking about natural and adapted style,
Yes.
we really want to focus on the natural. That's the same. I won't change your personality.
Yes.
But I'm just telling you that if you don't have high EQ, you have blind spots.
Correct.
About yourself and about others. So you enter in the office, you are meeting with clients, you are meeting with colleagues, with partners, and you don't get everything you have to get. So that's really, so yes, you can develop your EQ.
Yes.
We have a lot of methods that are really respectful of your personality.
Yes.
So I was talking about the disc, but we have all other assessment, and we are using your results on your profile to develop your EQ.
Yes.
So it's really customized. So usually you will feel better. So it's not about changing your personality. It's assuming your personality and understanding others' personality.
Okay. So it's that self-awareness and that self-regulation that we can really look into based off of different behavioral styles or even different motivation or driving forces as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So in your experience, what's the connection between emotional intelligence and employee engagement or retention?
We were talking about trust, confidence.
Yes.
And I always ask leaders, please, can you give me KPIs of employee engagement? And a lot of the times they are talking about the survey they're going through in their business. And these are really good tools. But I ask them, when you enter your office, what can you observe that really you will confirm that you have a lot of employee engagement? And sometimes they're, oh my God, when I go in the office, that's not what I'm looking for.
Oh.
I will look at some people, but I will think about results, tasks to do.
Okay.
So that's where we are always saying, okay, for your employee engagement, you will add this view to yourself thinking about tasks and results you have to get or achieve.
Okay. So it's that social awareness portion of it then. If you walk into an office and you notice that somebody who's normally very bubbly and smiley, they have their heads down and they just glance up at you.
Yeah.
That's really where that EQ comes into play.
Yeah.
Okay. So if a leader wants to make EQ a priority tomorrow, what's the first step that they could take?
We recognize a leader by the way he leads himself or she leads himself.
Okay.
So first step, start with yourself.
Okay.
You will notice how people are changing their behaviors around you.
Okay.
Even though they are not yet talking or developing their EQ.
Okay.
So a lot of our clients always say, oh my God, I'm feeling that something is changing right now. So start by yourself.
Okay.
After, start with key people in your team. And in our practice, we are developing it for everyone.
Yes. Yes.
Every employee in a business should develop EQ for us because it's really empowering people. A lot of people, and we're talking about results, you have specific results, but I think 100% of my clients want really people to take initiatives, to be responsible about their work. So EQ will give it to you.
Okay.
I always say when you have high EQ, you're going to work and you have your hands on the wheel drive and you know where you have to go.
Okay.
So that's really an impact of high EQ. So maybe these should be the steps to develop EQ in the workplace.
Okay. So what is one thing that people can do to intentionally practice EQ? Is there an exercise that you have done with your clients? How can somebody who isn't really fully aware of EQ practice it?
The first step to develop EQ, and this is the most powerful exercise to just starting to be conscious about what is going on in HR. The first thing would be really to observe. Observe yourself and observe others.
Okay.
Please don't even make judgment. Just observe.
Okay.
And when you do this exercise, we would suggest that you will go through this exercise in 3 times. Times, I would say, really how you can do it. So first of all, you will go and look at the past. Okay, this is the first time. So when you look at the past, just look at some stuff that has been going on this week, a meeting that was not that well, but just observe how you felt, what you said, how they react, how the body language was, what they did, what they say. So just observe. After a lot of times, in this time, the first time, we call it like this, like it's like a history line.
Okay.
So you're going in the past, and you will start looking at patterns.
Okay.
You will now be really more conscious about things that are really coming back soon, a lot of in your workplace while you have meetings, you go in your office, how it's going on.
Okay.
After this first time, the second time, when you do the exercise of observing, is on that moment.
Okay.
In the present tense. So let's say we are in a meeting and I'm not feeling that good, and now I'm just observing myself and yourself. So I'm still listening to you for sure.
Yes.
But this is really where, I'm thinking about some things that was not there before. Okay. So the blind spot are sometimes disappearing. And after, when you're really good, you can, and it's the third tense, you can anticipate.
Okay.
Oh my God, I have a meeting with Shona. Okay. What are the things I have to be careful about just to make you confident? And how can we work together? Oh my God, I think we have to tell each other the delay we have to do things, because in our profile, it's really important. If not, maybe we can wait about each other after.
Yes.
So these are the 3 tense. Start with the past, you observe the past.
Okay.
After you observe the present tense, and after you will be able to anticipate. So that's just one exercise about observing.
Okay.
And you will begin to connect the dots.
Yeah.
And this is really where you will be able to develop your EQ.
That's a great exercise.
Yes.
I'm going to use it in my next meeting, because I'm thinking about, okay, I do look at the past and think about the different ways that maybe I could have handled myself differently, and then look at, okay, this is what I'm doing right now. I have to focus. And then, I didn't handle that meeting very well, or I didn't handle that email very well. So I like that.
And journaling while observing is really good, because that's where you just read your notes and you understand the patterns that is going on there. And if you're trying something new, a new behavior, you will note another reaction for yourself, and you will say, oh, is it positive? Is it negative? What can I do for me, for you? and now we can really work together.
Okay. I like that. I'm definitely going to try it. What is one myth about EQ that you would love to just bust right here, right now?
Yeah. I would tell you about two myths. I just said it earlier about esoteric, and
Yes.
and a lot of people are really afraid that I will talk about things that are not factual,
Yeah.
but that's really not the case. And the other thing is that people always think when I start working with the emotional quotient that we're talking about only like emotions like crying
Okay.
or sadness or negative emotions.
Yes.
And this is really a myth because we're talking about emotions, and we have positive emotions
Yes.
that can interfere the way you can read the room.
Yes.
And yes, we have also negative emotions that can interfere how you read the room.
Okay.
Read the room for me is really reading myself while I'm reading yourself at the same time.
Yes.
And that's where, when we're really good, you can anticipate.
Okay. I like that one, that not all emotions are negative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And sometimes people think that in coaching, for example, we will ask them, what about your negative emotions?
Okay.
But it's not only the case. It's more disruptive emotion that will interfere. That's why I use this word.
Yes.
How you can read. And maybe I can tell you, for us, high EQ will give you the capacity to read rather than react.
I like that.
And when we observe the workplace, we can see that a lot of people are reacting.
Yes.
Reacting for me is really just like fight, flight, or fear. But these are reactions.
Okay.
And maybe you've noticed, you too, a lot of people right now are telling me how really exhausted they are.
Yes.
It's like really a joke how many people are telling me how they feel exhausted. But when you react, a lot of times during the day, that means you're on and off, on and off, on and off. And this is really exhausting.
Yes, that is exhausting.
So when you're going to work with your two hands on the wheel drive, you feel confident, and you feel that you can face a lot of situation on your workplace and just not stop reading it rather than reacting.
Okay.
So a lot of people would say, when I'm going after my coaching to develop my EQ, oh my God, I feel more energized.
Yes.
Because I'm less in reaction. So I can find solutions. I can read more generally. So people are really feeling in a better shape.
Okay. Read versus
react. This was
react.
a long answer to your first question.
It's a great answer.
It's really, I love telling people, would you like to react less in your workplace?
Yeah.
And they say, oh my God, yes, how can I do it? Okay, we'll just insert some exercise.
Okay.
And don't be afraid. We're not talking only about negative emotions.
Yeah.
We're talking about you, your values, who you are, what are your blind spots, and who are you working with?
Okay. Well, that kind of leads. Is there anything else that you would like to leave with our listeners, especially those who are looking to align EQ to the bottom line?
Yeah. And earlier I told you we are talking about intelligence. Yes. And I said, isn't it enough?
Yes. Yes.
And that's really not esoteric. Okay. When we're talking about reading the room, that means that your brain, your intelligence is really, like, I would generalize it by saying it's well functioning.
Okay.
So what do we want for our workplace? Mm-hmm. Do we want people that can solve problems,
Mm-hmm.
be in interaction with others?
Yep.
And when we're not only talking about leaders, we're talking about every people that are going to work every morning, every night, and want to get satisfied about what they are doing.
Yes.
So this is really a part of your intelligence that needs to be developed, because unfortunately, that's not where we were focusing on.
Okay.
But I hope in 30, 50 years, we will talk about intelligence, and that will include, naturally, emotional intelligence.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Working Progress. A big thank you to you, Marili, for sharing your insights and your experience. Today's conversation reminds us that emotional intelligence isn't just this feel-good concept. It's actually a powerful, measurable force behind engagement, culture, and performance. If you found today's episode valuable, please subscribe, leave a review, or share with a colleague or fellow leader. Your support helps us bring more meaningful conversations to the forefront. And just remember, if you're ready to make EQ a priority in your workplace, it starts with intention, awareness, and a single conversation. So, as always, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep making progress. Take care, everyone.